Hello and welcome to another edition of the C Squared podcast. This is your host Curtis with my co-host Gaia, and we are here today with two members of the band Arsenic Addiction, Ripper and Lady A. And first of all, just want to say thank you guys both for being here.
Oh, thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with a little mini intro, the kind of nutshell version of who you are, what you do. So if you guys want to kind of go over that either as a band or as individuals or both, feel free.
Well, we are Arsenic Addiction. We are a gothic metal band from Salt Lake City, Utah. My name is Lady Arsenic, and I do vocals and keys.
I'm Ripper. I play guitar and constant sarcasm, usually.
So. I love it. I love it. What about the band background then? Just a teeny little nutshell version of that.
All right. Well, the nutshell version is we've been around since 2006. James and I are actually the founders of the band. Nice. And we've kind of gone through a huge evolution ever since then. Like we used to call ourselves like vaudeville metal, Victorian metal, because we had like a whole Victorian stage show, and it was all about like Victorian funeral rites, etc. Kind of where like Arsenic Addiction comes from. But as we evolved and our style and our sound changed, the name stuck, but everything else is kind of more past tense now.
So you kind of did like an image shift then at one point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. So Gaia, you get the next question.
I have a question about the switch. Was it something that was planned? Did you like think about like where you wanted to take the band image, or was it just like it just happened?
A little bit of both. So as we changed out members and began to evolve, one thing we noticed is we kind of did our band career backwards in the sense of like we were touring, playing like all the shows we could in our local area and all around the Midwest. And we would go into the studio and record an album like in a weekend, which is not a very long time for a whole album. And as we started to change out members, our focus changed from kind of touring and the stage show to the music itself. And we wanted to finally put out like the album we always wanted. So we took 5 years to record our last album. And just kind of within that 5 years, we decided that instead of focusing so hard on a stage show with characters, we wanted to present a more authentic version of who we are as people and kind of what our music is about. And so that's kind of how it was both conscious, but also a natural shift in our growth.
Oh, that's amazing. I have to say it before Curtis says anything, but I love the background. I think it's so cool. So it's super gothic. I love it.
Thank you.
Moving right along from the background though, so you guys put out the album in 2019, but then you guys didn't really seem to do any promo for it because, so the main theme of the podcast, like I said, is industry type stuff. So moving right into that. Did you guys do any promo on the 2019 album?
Well, we had started kind of talking to different PR groups about it. And we unfortunately had released it before we had like really did promo for it or had settled on one. So unfortunately we kind of did that backwards as well. We're trying to get it out there and like just trying to figure out how to promote an album properly, because you get approached by so many PR groups, and a lot of them are bullshit,
Yep.
And it's really hard to find the people that are good people that are going to do a good job for you. And it took us a minute to find one, and I think we found one. But
yeah, it's been real like trial and error as far as like our journey has gone for like PR, because with this album, it took us 5 years, and even in those 5 years, how you release an album has drastically changed. Where I feel like before, growing up, an album coming out was like an event. Like, you went down to like FYE or whatever, like CD record store, and you picked it up that way, and you didn't actually get to hear anything but like the major single or music video until the full album was released. And now I feel like it's totally different, which I wish I had known that before we released XIX, that once again, we're kind of doing it backwards, where we're releasing music videos for different songs on the album almost as singles. And I think we should have done that before we released the actual album. Yeah, because people, instead of releasing a whole album, people are now, that I've noticed, the larger bands are releasing actually like 5 or 6 songs off the album before they drop the whole thing.
Yeah. So, okay, so backing it up just a little bit. So you put the album out, you didn't do any PR for it, and then a year or 2 later is when you guys decided to drop the videos to do the push. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The pandemic is what really kind of pushed us back here from being able to get out and start recording.
Yeah.
And then concept wise too, gathering the money up to do music videos and try to do them justice. So it just took a minute to get the concepts together, get the fundage together, and then also
And the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we dropped 2019, and then of course immediately 2020 hit.
Yeah.
And there was just no touring that album. We all went into quarantine, and that was new for us. We had no idea like what we were going to do until we're like, hey, well, we can probably get together once the pandemic winds down a bit and do music videos, as long as, you know, we social distance and we're outside and we're all wearing masks when we're not on camera. Like, so the first music video we did was Fire for that very reason, because we could be out in the salt flats where hardly anybody was and do it in a pandemic safe way.
Fair. So, okay, so when you guys, let me just make sure I'm phrasing this correctly here. So when you guys decided to start doing the videos and stuff like that, did you guys do like, did John do a push for the album too, or no?
No, we hadn't actually started working with John yet. I got John's contact through a friend here, another musician here in Utah.
Okay.
He plays for the band Helium Prime, and
Oh, yeah.
I was liking that they were kind of getting promoted the way that we wanted to, and we had reached out to 2 or 3 other promotional companies, and it just went nowhere.
Well, or it wasn't financially feasible.
Yeah.
It was, they wanted like 2 or 3 grand a month, and we're a very small independent band, and so that's a house payment, you know.
Yeah.
So we couldn't afford that, and so we reached out for John for the first music videos, and yeah, that's when we started working with him, was for the beginning of the
For
music
Fire
videos.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it's only been the video push, nothing to do with the album so far, right?
Yeah, nope, just the video push. He kind of said, and we kind of agreed, that since it was like 2019 when the album dropped, that like normally you don't promote it after the fact, especially so many years. So he's like, let's focus on the videos, let's really push them out. He actually, for Molly Feacham, got Metal Injection to premiere it, which was like way cool, and it actually like boosted a lot of traffic our way because it was like a huge, well-known publication.
I think that was Corey that did the premiere of that, if I'm not mistaken. My our co-founder.
Oh, awesome.
I could be wrong. I think it was Corey at least, but maybe not. But anyway, so with the videos, how did you guys kind of utilize that in order to drive sales, if you did?
I think we used it to help promote all of our social medias, our YouTube, and then try to get more traction in our digital sales.
Mm-hmm.
So we just tried to get it to catch people's attention and help them gravitate more towards our music with that imagery we tried to put out.
Yeah, it draws people in because obviously like our YouTube videos are monetized, so it helps introduce the song, and then the more plays we get, obviously it's only like fractions of a penny, but they do add up. And it helps push like our Bandcamp, and I personally feel like the music videos out of everything so far have been the biggest bang for our buck, because not only do we permanently have this thing online that people can go back and revisit over and over, as opposed to a live show, it helps introduce who we are, and our people across the world connect with us more. So we actually have been sending albums since those videos have dropped to like Belgium and Australia and like Canada, and like, so that was pretty rad. Shipping out of the country is ridiculous, but it's still way cool.
Yeah, kind of crazy. So Guy, did you have any follow-up questions before going to the next one?
Well, I do have a question, but it's a little bit like backing up, because you guys said that like you had like a lot of PR people like contacting you, and I was curious to know like what made you pick the person that you pick. Is it also like, I know someone like referred John to you, but I was wondering what was the thing that really clicked, and what tips would you give to someone that's trying to find a good PR person for them?
I mean, it's different for everybody in their situation. I think for us, one, it was reference of someone that we know that was like, I love this person. So like a good reference and kind of good personal review. Talking to someone who's actually worked with them helps immensely. And I think that was kind of number one. I think two is, at the end of the day, people just wanted to be treated well. So it's nice to just be told, like I'm very direct, so I like being told, hey, I need this, this, and this, so we can get the ball rolling. And that works great for me. So I think it's somebody who communicates really well, has good reviews, and also
Is honest.
Is honest and within your price range that you can afford. Not the cheapest, but somebody that you can, that when they give you a price, you can pay it. And at the end of the day, everyone feels like they are working together and they're getting what they paid for, you know? So I think that that's what helps, because yeah,
in my opinion, at our level, since we're still such a small band, it doesn't make sense for us to go to the PR people that are thousands and thousands of dollars, because not only don't put yourself in a bad position because you're like, I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket and this is what's going to make us, because that's unlikely to happen. So you really have to do something that is realistic and within your budget, but also with somebody who actually cares about you and your music and the music scene in general. Like, and I do feel like, especially in the online world, that is difficult to find. So my suggestion is just be careful about who you work with. Do your research about like who they are as a person, their credentials, and what other bands have they worked with. Because a lot of people will cold reach out to you and say, hey, like, I have this awesome deal. And then they'll list a whole bunch of bands that you've never heard of and a whole bunch of publications you've never heard of. And then they want $2,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 50 bucks.
What's that?
Or $50.
Yeah.
No,
50, just 50 bucks, man. Yeah.
50 bucks.
I think the thing that got me was, it's just, I just approach everything with anybody we've ever worked with, like they're full of shit until something happens. They'll always be like, yeah, it's this much. And if I can afford it and it's not a huge loss and I'm willing to gamble that and see if it's a loss, then you go for it. And sometimes it pays and sometimes it doesn't. But I just always consider, it's like, yeah, you're full of shit until something actually happens.
That's amazing. Okay, so now other than the PR aspect of things, unless Guy had more on the PR? No, cool. So other than the PR, did you guys do any ads or anything like that to do the video?
Yes. So I did Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm not familiar with YouTube ads, so I didn't really go that route. But for our videos, we definitely do Facebook and Instagram. And we try and do a budget that's like I said, once again, realistic. And we do small campaigns at a time. So I'll go, okay, for 3 days, we're going to do $25 and see what kind of reach we get. And if we get a good response and a good reach, then I'll put more money into that. If we don't, then I just will go, oh, well, I guess that's a lot.
So how did it really go for you doing those Facebook and Instagram ads? Because a lot of bands that we work with have said that they haven't been doing that great with them lately after the algorithm changes. So just curious how it worked with you.
No, it is the exact same for us. After the algorithm changed, it's not only do you not reach as many people, but you don't reach people that would care. Like you reach people that mostly are just like trolls that just come and leave like hate comments on your video and stuff. And you're like, okay, whatever. Thanks. I'm glad I paid for that, Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one, and the other thing that some people say to do is that stupid thing about only target people in Mexico and India just to get the views up. Anyways,
I've
Guy,
never heard of that actually.
a common thing nowadays. But Guy, did you have any follow-up on that before we move on?
No, I have more question for like after.
Cool.
Yeah, I okay, you guys like release like the videos. Is there like any plan for other videos, or like are you like getting into the next album?
Let me take this one.
Hmm.
So we are working on one last video that we wanted to do, and it was actually for the single off of XIX that we released prior to XIX coming out for Tomb of Sleep. So we wanted to do one last video for it, and then we've already started writing a new album. We have some great new members that are playing with us, and we're about 3 or 4 songs in already. So the focus is just to kind of give Tomb of Sleep one more push for XIX, perform, you know, do more social media stuff with it, live stuff, and then start recording a new album to release it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I want to move on. I want to move on to a different subject if Guy is okay with that.
Fine.
Cool. So, well, this is kind of like a broad question, but not really. So John wanted me to ask you guys about what it was like being a symphonic death metal band in conservative Utah. So I'm going to ask that question first.
Okay, well, we categorize ourselves as gothic metal, mostly because the content of our music is gothic in nature, not gothic as an 80s trad goth, you know. And it's mostly because we do have some symphonic aspects and we do have some death metal aspects, but we're still pretty like, we're heavy, but quite not that heavy. But what it's like to be a heavy band in conservative Utah means that you have a very tight, small community and everybody knows everybody kind of type of thing. And it's, you get put on some really weird shows.
Sure.
Like, especially with me being a female, a lot of the times in our career history, they've been like, oh, well, you got a chick in the band and they've got a chick in the band. And it'll be like,
Chicks night.
it'll be completely 2 different genres, like that you just never put together. And so, but as far as like, I would say we've been received into the scene really 50-50. It's either like really great or really terrible.
My favorite part of it is like, yeah, we had this problem for a long time that we'd get booked at like goth bars here, and we're too metal for the goth kids, but we're too goth for the metal kids. So we landed in this weird spot where they're just like, the fuck are those guys? You know, so it was fun. And then like, we always loved playing with like the black metal bands just because aesthetically they fit the same kind of vibe that we were doing, you know?
Yeah.
So you'd have this crazy black metal band that's just tearing it up. And then, you know, we come up and we're like, all right.
Oh, time to make it pretty.
Time to make it pretty. And my favorite is like, you know, I have a day job too. And so I work construction. And the thing that makes me laugh is my coworkers will be like, hey, I saw this music video of you. And I'll be like, oh, don't watch that one. And they'll come up and tell me, and they'll just be like, yeah, you know, it's cool. I like, you know, I listen to Tool. And we're like, good on you, buddy.
Yeah. We have to keep it on the DL sometimes because, you know, he he's got to look LDS by day and then has to be a metalhead by night because he paints temples and stuff.
Oh,
Shit.
oh,
And all
Really?
those people will see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh.
I'll go and paint temples, and then they'll be like, "So I heard you're in a band," and I'm like, "I am in a band,
nice.
actually."
You wouldn't be interested. Trust me.
Just an aside, just for 1 second. I know Gaia probably wants to say something about the female thing. She's also in a band who has had that happen to them. Do you have questions about that, Gaia, or make a statement?
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see your opinion about the female fronted tag on Instagram, Twitter, or everything. What do you think about it?
So here's my thing is I love women in metal. I think we have just as much of a place as any fucking dude, you know. I feel half and half about the female fronted genre thing because obviously I want to support like my fellow women, but I am also like, we're not a novelty. Like, we're musicians. Like, so they don't get up there and be like, look at this dude fronted metal band. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't understand the point of female fronted genre other than to make it's basically saying like, well, you're not a real musician, or you're good for a girl, and I hate that so much. Like, so I actually don't use those hashtags like when I post photos. I've even stopped using hashtags that's like goth girl or metal chick or whatever, because like it sucks because I want to be taken seriously. And I feel like the moment I put those kinds of hashtags is the moment, like, I mean, it gets me more likes on my photo, but then they don't care about my music. Like, so yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, especially with the booking on shows with other girls. Like, that has happened to me like a lot of time, and like the shows are very cool, and like it's nice to see other women metal, but I'm just like, we don't fit. It doesn't fit.
Exactly. Like it's
not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same at all. Like, I wish I could say that like that people are multifaceted or diverse enough where you could put on a show where there's like, you know, pop punk and then metal and then black metal and then rock, but like people just like, they don't like that. They want to go to a show where it's like kind of, you know, a cohesive genre, and beyond that they're not interested in listening to you if you're not what they want to see ultimately. So
yeah, and I don't know if I'm like, it's me projecting a little bit, but I feel like a lot of time when I play those shows, I do feel like the public is like judging the girls. They're just like, oh, this singer was better than this singer, and I hear it sometimes. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like, it has nothing to do with, like, we're all different bands, and there's no competition. But I do feel like because we get like put in those nights where it's just like girls' night and stuff, that it end up like having like competition that should not be there at all.
Oh, 100%. Like when our friend Sam joined our band, yeah, it's like automatically people start commenting, oh my god, you have a female bass player, and I'm like, and cool, bro. Like, yeah, she's our new bass player, she's rad, right? Like,
My favorite is people thought it would throw off the dynamic of the band, being like, so you have another girl in there, huh? Ooh.
That's awesome.
oh.
Well, what you want to comment on, just because I know I said the Gaia before, so I'll just say it again. One thing I think it is useful for is when you're trying to categorize, like, for a type of singer for a style. I don't think it's useful to do the female fronted. Gaia, quit making that reaction.
I don't agree because I don't sound like another person.
No, but some people like a female or male voice over, I think. But that's
I don't agree, because you have like people like me that do classical / like pop vocals, and you have people that have like amazing rush like roll vocals, and they're not the same. And how are we putting us in the same things? Like, we're not the same.
Be useful. What are your guys' opinion on
that?
Now that my coworker wants to quit on.
No, I totally agree with her. Like, it's about, if you're talking about style of vocal, then you're talking about, oh, do you want fry scream? Do you want guttural screams? Do you want pop vocals? Do you want opera? Like, and those can all be done by any gender.
Yeah.
So it kind of just is what fits your vibe and not gendered, you know.
I
Exactly.
guess I can look at it. So before we move on from this question, does anybody want to say anything else? Not now that I've stuck my foot in my mouth, apparently.
Female
No.
friendship is not a genre.
It's not a genre.
There you go.
I think it's just.
Do you have any comments on this?
I think it's just marketing. I think they go, well, dudes are really gonna like it if we put female fronted.
Yeah, but it's bad marketing. It's bad marketing because it hypersexualizes female musicians, which is dangerous. So like it's not applicable to their talent or their
Well,
music.
I agree with you. I'm just stating I think why, like, because obviously I work with a bunch of people that are like, I like metal, I like that Lacuna Coil band, you know, and it's like,
yeah, that's
and
what I
you're
mean.
like, yeah, and you're just like, okay, yes, I understand Christina Scabbia is very attractive. Do you know anyone else in the band? And they're just like,
No.
Yeah.
No point. No point to know those dudes, like, you know. So like I understand that I think it's only used as a marketing tool to get dudes to watch a band.
Well, and actually with marketing, like having to do with like the PR stuff, like I said, I don't hashtag our photos like female fronted or anything like that. Yeah. And I also I'm usually in front because I'm the shortest. But I try not to actually do what I call the Evanescence effect from her first album, where the label was like, only Amy Lee in front and the band members will be blurred out in the back here. Like, I love Amy Lee. I love Evanescence. But I think the marketing, the PR people did the rest of the band dirty that way. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's her fault at all. I definitely know it's like the label, but it's... So for our band, I tried to present us as like a whole. Like we are Arsenic Addiction. We're not Lady Arsenic and Friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. That's funny. You're bringing up Guy's favorite band again. So, Guy, where do we want to go on this topic, or do we want to switch it? We got about 9 minutes.
I have another comment that has like something to do with it, and like I just want to share this thing. But a few months ago I posted about like the female fronted tags on Twitter, and I think that was like my post I got the most response. I was like, okay, this is a very sensitive topic. But one dude said that it was like a sexy tag, and I was just like, this is kind of funny because you just assume that we're all sexy. That's just stupid. Yeah, so that was just me sharing. So Curtis, go ahead.
I will. So moving right along, did the other two have anything more you wanted to comment on that before we ask the final questions?
No, we could keep going, so we can move on.
Cool. You know what? We actually did a podcast, me, Guy, and a couple other people on this one time. We should maybe do part 2, and then you can join us next time. Yeah. So where do we want to go now, Guy? What's the final questions we want to ask here?
Well, you know my final question, but I don't think we're there.
We're not quite there yet. So let's do another one. So what are you guys' plans for the next year promo-wise, and what are you guys promoting in the next year, if you're willing to tell us?
So we're, like James said, we're going to record another music video at the end of this month for our single Tomb of Sleep. So we're going to be trying to promote the video. So obviously this time around we'll send our stuff to John, and he'll find a publication who will want to premiere it. And then we are actually going to go back into the studio and start writing again. And instead of doing it like we did before, we're actually going to start releasing songs more like singles. Mm-hmm. So kind of do that format of like the 4 or 5 songs before we actually drop like the whole album, and maybe some singles in between there, just to try and have something at least monthly, if not every other month, to like promote. Yeah,
I think we're hoping by winter solstice to release the music video for Tomb of Sleep, and then to kick off the new year with a single that we just finished writing with the band to also introduce the new sound of playing with these new members and kind of what they're bringing to the table.
Now, when you say new sound, are you meaning just like a new genre, or what?
No, just more refined in the sense of like this song pulls a lot. The one that we're going to release coming up pulls a lot from like classic original death metal, like bands like kind of like Bathory and stuff, on more of like the riffy sense of it. I'm speaking from a guitarist standpoint, so people don't hear it and be like, fucking not Bathory, you know. But like, you know, but yeah, I mean, for guitar wise, it's very much in that sense. And we have another guitarist where when we recorded XIX, we only had myself and our producer playing guitar. So our new guitarist Tyler, he brings a lot to the table, and a really great guitar player. And our new bassist Sam really brings a whole different vibe with her bass playing. So I'm excited to kind of have that, because XIX was very much us kind of orchestrating it and having a few friends there helping out. So
nice. Very nice. I think we're almost at the final question. So Gaia.
Yes. Okay, so this is very, 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 very important.
Very.
That's gonna determine like the rest of your life. So, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Oh, mine definitely has to be a velociraptor. They're tiny but mighty, you know.
So basically ostriches.
the chicken. I'm just kidding.
What?
He likes the descendants of
I like the
dinosaurs.
evolution.
Yeah.
I like the evolution of the dinosaur, which is the chicken. Huge fan.
Huge fan.
No, I think as a kid I always liked the pterodactyl.
Cool. They're cool. They're one of my favorites too.
Yeah, I remember when they released Jurassic Park 3 and they had it like all through the previews. I was like, oh man.
Gaia, you got to share yours now, because you never do.
I always do, and it's always the same one. I like the megalodon, which is basically a giant shark.
Yeah.
It's like it's my favorite. I wish they were still around just because they're cool as fuck, but I would be too scared to go around them.
Oh, I'm too scared to go in the ocean as is. If you told me there was a megalodon waiting for me, I'd be like, well, there goes boats for me. Never be on one of those again.
I'd have a 50-foot restraining order from every beach. I'd be like, I can't go there.
There's megalodons.
Megalodons, man, they're a thing.
Cool. So we're going to end off now. Do you guys have any final words you want to say before we hit the end button?
If anybody listening would just check us out at Dose of Arsenic at YouTube, Twitter, Arsenic Addiction on Instagram, Arsenic Addiction on TikTok, or Bandcamp Arsenic Addiction, and give us your thoughts and tell us what you think, and hopefully you like it.
Yeah, and thank you for having us on and all the support, everything we've gotten through these music videos and the album. So
cool. Awesome. So with that, we are done.